All right, everybody, welcome back to another incredible podcast of the Entrepreneur DNA. And I have a very close friend for many, many years now, and he's also within the real estate space. And a lot of people would think we are competitors, but it is absolutely not true. This man is a incredible real estate investor, incredible business owner. He is on TV. He has a great show on A&E. He's a best-selling author. This man knows business through and through. Mr. Jamil Damji is in the Heezy. What's up, dude?
Hey, man. Good to see you, Justin. Congratulations on this podcast, man. You know, we've known each other a long time, and you've always just been like one of those inspiring dudes. But this podcast is off the hook, bro. Like, you're killing it, and it's such an important thing that you're doing, because there's so many people out there right now that are just completely disillusioned in their lives and are looking for help. They're looking for information. They're looking for ways that they can get out of the rat race. And I think it's super important what you're doing. So congratulations. And, you know, thank you on behalf of all the listeners that are paying attention and getting value from what you're providing here. It's beautiful.
Bro, first of all, thank you. None of that is lost on me for you to give me that compliment. But then secondly, for you listeners and watchers, did you hear how he just came into this episode? Do you already think he's my favorite guest? 100%. So always remember, and Jamil, this is part of who you are, but to be able to give thanks and to appreciate where you came, like, that's who you are. But I think a lot of people, especially where you're at in business at this point, they don't act like that. They wouldn't come on a podcast and be like, hey, bro, all right, more about me now, right? And so I just appreciate how you even just did that intro, bro.
Well, I didn't get anywhere by myself, you know, like that's the truth, right? I collaborated with people. I've been collaborating with you a long time, and you and I have done deals for like over a decade, right? And so, you know, thinking back to those days, right? Like, I was looking in my text messages, because I don't erase anything, and I was like looking at the like history of our relationship, so that I had, you know, just kind of refreshed myself with like how long we've known each other and all the business we did, and I was just looking back, and they were so good, dude. Like, we did so much collaborating. We did so many JV deals together. We've made money together. We've broken bread together. We've hung out. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's so important, right, that you really develop relationships in a way that is meaningful. Because at the end of the day, you know, we don't get to leave with the money that we make here. Like, nobody, and also no one's gonna write on your tombstone your net worth.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, they're not, right? They're not going to be like, you know, Jamil Damji, $100 million, right? Like, it's no, nobody gives a F about that. But you know what people will remember? Your interactions with them, the way that you guys kicked it, and what that was, and what kind of dude you were, or what kind of woman you were. And so, you know, that's important, because that you know, how you are with folks and how you make people feel, that's the memory, that's the legacy that you leave in reality. You won't remember any of the addresses, and I don't remember any of the addresses of the deals that we did, but I do remember how I felt doing those deals. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how much money I made on those deals, but I remembered that you and I had positive interactions, that we were joking around, laughing around, and that it was fun to do business together. And that's the thing that I took away from it, right? And so, you know, for anybody listening out there, that's important. Like, be humble, be a good person, and you'll be so surprised at just how life opens for you, and how many people will be interested in wanting to help you and open doors for you and give you opportunity because of your character. And, you know, that to me is just, I think that's the foundation of success, right? And really looking at it from like the inside out.
Bro, what a great way to start this podcast. You're totally right. You know, people don't remember anything but how you made them feel. That is what will stick with them, right? They won't remember how much money you made or the parties you went to or whatever. They'll remember how you made them feel. And again, how you just even came into this, and we've known each other for over a decade, friends, done business together, but just that entrance. I will remember this episode for forever, right? Knowing the Entrepreneur DNA is in its infancy, and I've had a lot of luck and a lot of work to get it to the top 5 in the United States, but at the end of the day, this will be great because of that. So kudos to you, appreciate you. But I think people need to really re-listen to even just this beginning and what he says and how he's saying it and why he's saying it, because it means absolutely everything. And I've been talking a lot about this, and I know you know this is true, but it's always about the people. Like, Jamil Damji isn't Jamil, the successful real estate investor, the TV star, the author, without the other people in his life to help him get there, whether he asked for it or they just gave it to him as help, there is nothing more important than the people in your world.
Amen. Amen.
So this is going to be a good one, right? I think for all of you, you need to go, if you don't know him already, you need to go find this man on Instagram and Facebook. He has an incredible show, Triple Digit Flip, on A&E, at least as we record this. He has an incredible best-selling book. He is the largest wholesaler of real estate in the nation. He has franchised a wholesale real estate business model, which everyone, including myself, went to lunch with him. I remember the day that he said, Colby, I think I'm going to do this. We went and had sushi down in Tempe.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do this. And I'm like, bro, are you sure you want to try it? Like, this is an uphill. He's like, bro, I think I got this one.
Man, oh man, I should have, like, you know, it's been super rewarding, right? Being able to franchise a business that people said wasn't scalable, that you couldn't, you know, because at the end of the day, people see wholesaling as a hustle, right? It's so bootstrapped and grassroots, just how we do it. And for anybody listening right now, if you're unfamiliar with what wholesaling is, it's arbitraging contracts in real estate, right? So why it's so appealing to beginners is that you don't need cash, you don't need credit, you don't need anything but grit and resolve and, you know, consistency to make money. And that's how, you know, I cut my teeth in the game. I didn't have a rich dad. I didn't have access to resources that were going to, you know, put me in position to win. I had to figure it out. And so, you know, looking at it from that perspective, because wholesale attracts so many newcomers to entrepreneurship and real estate in general, the idea that it's just this, like, you know, real gritty way to make some cash and then do something else, like, that's what it's, so many people have wholesale in their head as, oh, I'm going to start with wholesale and then I'm going to build my capital and then I'm going to get into rentals and I'm going to get into multifamily and then I'm going to get into flipping, and because that's where the real money is made. And you know, perhaps, right, there's absolutely truth to the fact that you can make money in all those things, but they all have a tremendous amount of risk. When you look at wholesaling, because you are you know, essentially you're looking for property that needs work, right, that has some opportunity for potential gain. Now when I say potential gain, I'm just like, let's take you guys back to your neighborhoods, right? If you're driving down the road and you see a house with overgrown weeds, you know, newspapers piling up, maybe boarded up windows, whatever that is, you would assume that it's a vacant home and that, you know, nobody cares for it. And there's, at any given point in the United States, 5 million or more of those properties on any given day. Now, those properties are problematic for neighborhoods because they attract the wrong kind of thing, right? They attract drug use, they attract vagrants, they attract crime, and they're not good for the neighborhood, right? We're not talking about you know, pushing people out of their neighborhoods or anything like that. I'm just talking about cleaning up the stuff that is unloved.
And if you can,
of course, right? Like and there's opportunity there. So what wholesalers do is we go and we contract that property for a good price. And then we find somebody who wants to buy that opportunity from us. So I can put a home under contract and then I can sell that contract to somebody else and make a $10,000 fee on it. And that's what wholesaling is. Now, when you do that, and you do that 50, 60, 70 times a month, now you've got a real business, right? You can make $600,000, $700,000, $1 million a month, and we have $1 million months all the time. So I took that system and then we replicated it and then franchised it and sold it across the United States. So we've got Keighley's all across the country who operate the way that we do in our corporate stores. They use the brand, you know, so there's a lot of work that I'm having to do in brand development and making sure people are aware of what Keighley is and how we can work together. But it's just been this beautiful ride, right? And you're right. When we sat down and had sushi that day, you were very real with me. Yeah, and you said, you know, this is going to be, you know, probably one of the most difficult things you do. But if you get on the other side of it, it's going to be the most rewarding thing you ever do. But just know that it's, you know, your mountain is high, and you know, there's lots of opportunity for you to stumble. Stumble on the mountain. You're gonna stub your toe. You're gonna get cut. You're gonna have all these things, but if there's anybody who can do it, it's you. And so, you know, here we are, right? Years later, we succeeded. It happened. But there were so many things that could have gone wrong in the process, right? And
I'm sure they did go wrong, right?
Of course.
You made it. Like, you are here now with, like, nationwide Keighley's. But trust me, I don't know intimately. I'm sure you've had your
Yeah, I mean, I'll share one of them, right? Like we had one situation where we had one group that wanted to come in and buy like 14 franchise units, right? And we when you're first getting your launching, that's exciting. You're like, okay, 14 units at $100,000 per unit. That's $1.4 million plus 15% royalty on the sales. So we were really pumped about this. And it turns out that the people who were trying to do it were actually running a Ponzi scheme. And so they had collected all this money from people, and their goal, what they were really trying to do, was to use the wholesale business to make back the money that they had lost in earlier investments.
Sure.
And so, the whole thing comes tumbling down for them, and it created all kinds of tension for us because, now we've got the Ohio Attorney General wanting to talk to us, and we're like, okay, of course, yeah, happy to talk and share everything that you guys need to prosecute this situation. This is terrible. Yeah. And then those poor victims out there, right? Like the folks who perpetrated the crime, it's white collar, so it's like even the punishments they're insulting to the people who ended up losing money. I personally have been taken for a ride on a Ponzi scheme. Just this last year, I invested in a deal on a relationship referral. Like somebody really close to me said, "Hey, this is a really good opportunity. I've been doing really well with it. You should probably take a look." And because I got referred by somebody that I really trusted, I went in all in, right? And I ended up investing $1 million, and I just learned within a few months after doing that it was all a sham, and it was like, it was okay. I mean, I do well, so I made the money, make the money fast, right? But it was just, it hurt, right? It hurt because,
of course,
the person that I thought was my friend that referred me into the situation, I came to learn that he was paid a referral to bring me in. And so, that guy made money. And if you're making a 25% referral to bring investors to the table, how the heck is that going to be a real situation? Like, you should know that, hey, if somebody says to you, hey, go raise $1 million and I'll give you 250 grand for it, that there's not a legitimate business there. And I didn't learn any of this until after the fraud got exposed, and there were documents, and then people had to come and they were deposed, and that all happened last year. Yeah, 23 was a tough year for me, dude. Like my best year professionally. We smashed it, right? And in the wholesale business, like, tens of millions of dollars in profits, on my coaching, tens of millions of dollars earned. Everything was going really good, right? My YouTube channel's doing well. My social media is doing well. I'm happy. And then, my dog passes away. My dad ends up getting diagnosed with cancer. I lose $1 million in a Ponzi scheme. My wife and I split up after, 10 years of marriage, which was heartbreaking.
Of course.
And I get this like terrible spinal injury that lands me in the hospital, requiring a C3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spinal fusion, right? It's just like all of these things just compounded on me and required a lot of resilience to make it through.
Did you know that you can unlock retirement account and old 401ks and invest them into whatever you want? Today's episode is brought to you by the retirement innovators at Horizon Trust Company. If you're looking to break free from the limitations of traditional retirement plans and dive into a world of endless investment possibilities, Horizon Trust is your key to unlocking financial freedom. With a self-directed IRA from Horizon Trust, you're not just saving for retirement, you're actively shaping it. Whether you're passionate about real estate, intrigued by the potential of cryptocurrency, or interested in diversifying with precious metals, Horizon Trust empowers you to invest in what you know and love. Founded by industry titan Greg Herleen, Horizon Trust has over $1 billion in assets. Horizon Trust brings unparalleled expertise to retirement strategy. Their commitment to excellence is why they are a 5-star rated self-directed IRA custodian, trusted by savvy investors nationwide. Experience the future of retirement planning with Horizon Trust's cutting-edge account portal. From detailed investment reporting to real-time alerts and dedicated client support, They provide all the tools you need to invest with confidence and speed. Join the community of forward-thinking investors who have made Horizon Trust America's top choice for self-directed custodianship. Schedule a consultation with the IRA specialist today by visiting horizontrust.com/Justin and discover how to amplify your retirement savings with the power of alternative investments. Don't just plan for retirement, pave the way to a wealthy future with Horizon Trust.
Well, if anyone in the same conversation we had about, building a franchise model, if anyone's going to get there, brother, it's going to be you, right? And you obviously are on the other side of the year. I'm sure there's other personal stuff still lingering, but one of the things that I see visually, right, and we were just talking about this, is look at the fitness that you have attained. You dropped a lot of weight.
Yeah, 80
You did
pounds,
it healthily.
Yeah.
You're not out there doing it in inappropriate ways, right? And how much have you lost?
80 pounds. 80 pounds,
Come on,
yeah.
bro.
That was a really long liposuction session.
So you did it the right way. But listen, you know what? Here's something I would give a takeaway, and I think this is the type of person you are. You never know what's going on behind those closed doors.
Sure.
And never once have I ever seen you treat someone shitty, disrespectfully, try to get one over on someone, try to do someone dirty, basically say, it's only about me, fuck you. That has never been your attitude. But you could have had every reason in the book to change your demeanor, the way you communicate with people, how you present yourself, because of all this personal shit from the Ponzi scheme, $1 million. I mean, I don't give a fuck how much money you have. $1 million is a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Right? Like,
it's a lot of money. It hurts.
Your dad, your for your own health stuff with your neck, and you and your wife. I mean, you had every reason to be a shitty person, and just everything could have triggered you. And never once did I see that come out from you. And so I applaud you. You deserve to be proud of yourself because of that, because you never know what's happening in between someone's ears or behind their doors. So when someone is shitty to you, I would say, if someone could take a takeaway from this, realize it's not you, it's them. And there's probably something going on personally that has absolutely nothing to do with you, but they're taking it out on you. And so listen, I think that's a huge takeaway, but
it is. I mean, you know what? All of it is. The thing about it, right? Tough things to go through, right? And all of it is my creation at the end of the day, and I have to own full responsibility for all of it, right? And of course, someone will be like, "How is your dad having cancer your creation?" Okay, well, look, how I react to the cancer is my creation. How I'm allowing it to affect me is my creation. My relationship with him leading to that point is my creation, right? And so if I have guilt, or if I feel like I didn't do enough, or whatever it is, all that's my creation. And how I choose to respond with my father and his illness is also my creation. And so, I looked at everything, and it really gave me an opportunity to evaluate, where things are and how I got there. And then how I can possibly transmute it into something different, and how can I make the most delicious lemonade out of these lemons, right? And knowing that in life you're going to have these peaks and valleys in your experience, and the peaks are incredible, and they're a lot of fun, and it's really easy to be present when it's all going well, right? Because you're like, you soak it in, you're like, man, life is so good. Like, when you had your child, like, the moments you're holding your child, and you're looking at them, and you're looking at your wife, and you're like so in love with them, right? And that I'm sure you can get to that moment like that. You can get to the moment, the first moment you held your baby, you can get there this quickly, right? Because of the presence that you had in that moment. But what I've learned is that you need to have that same quality in the bad times. And what we do often is we escape, right? We numb, we escape, we distract, we avoid, and it compounds the grief, it compounds that pain, and it doesn't let you get through it. And then what ends up happening is those traumas start to leak into other aspects of your life. And then what you explained, where people are crappy to each other, short fused, just losing their cool, whatever it is, that's how it manifests itself out into the world with others, right? And so it starts to sabotage your other relationships. It starts to destroy. It starts to, create distrust and all these other negative impacts. The dominoes will just keep going. But if you can remain present in the pain and really, really, really understand it and see why it's there and what it's teaching you, you learn this incredible discipline of A, self-regulation, but B, the love and compassion that you end up developing for yourself in those moments is just beautiful. And then when you get on the other side of those tough times, you get to take that love and compassion with you, and it strengthens you, and it helps pave a new way and a new path for you to continue to, express in the world. And so I'm grateful, dude. I honestly can say, like, I'm sad a lot of it happened, but I wouldn't have, I wouldn't trade any of it, right? Like,
sure.
Like the situation with my wife, right? Like, dude, I adore this woman, right? Like, she's my best, she's still my best friend, right? And that'll never change. And even though the way that what our relationship is going to evolve, but it's like the two of us, actually yesterday was our 10-year wedding anniversary. And
wow.
and we are not together, and we went out to lunch together, and we celebrated that love still exists in 10 years, even after a separation, that her and I can sit there at a table together and look at each other in the face and say, I love you, and mean it with every cell in our bodies, right? And so,
great.
Yeah, our relationship evolves, and it's parts of that are terribly painful, but sometimes these things have to happen in order for more growth to occur, right? And so it's just such a cool thing, man, to be able to swim through that and gain clarity.
I'm listening to a new business be born for Jamil Damji here. I'm seeing some self-development business being born here.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a business, but for me, it's just like, this is what I've had to go through, right? And maybe that's where businesses evolve from is your experiences, and then they become a thing. But like, dude, I'm so happy that I've been able to get out of these things with my character.
But isn't it ironic to say you had one of the best years, if not the best year in business, and probably hands down one of the worst personal years you've ever had?
It's crazy, right?
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
The years I've done the best are the same years that have just turmoil, going through shit, dealing with shit, whatever those things are. And I've found over and over again, because you and I are in a lot of the same rooms together and on similar stages, a lot of us have a same story, bro. And it's interesting because those same people, whether we're speaking on stage or in the masterminds or whatever we're doing, they tend to be the most successful even through the pain, the hurt, the challenges, because they don't quit. They don't give up on themselves. Right. And I think it's a big takeaway that you're sharing with us without saying that is you didn't give up on yourself and your dream and your desire for greatness and love and excitement in life, right? Because you could just say, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I have money.
And I don't want to pretend like I didn't have the thought, right? There, like,
sure.
I absolutely entertained the thought when a lot of it was going down. And it's like that choose your own adventure. Remember those books when you were growing up? Like, turn to page 56 if you want this to happen, right? So like,
great books.
Yeah, great books. And like at every juncture, I had get off, like, hey, do
sure.
I continue on the road or do I take the exit and just fade to black, right? And I romanticized that taking the exit. And I thought about it. And there were many times where I was just like, I had the indicator on. And I was just like,
sure.
And I could hear that. It's like, okay, am I going to take it? Am I going to take it? I missed it. Let's keep going. And it's like, okay, well, good. Like, I wanted to feel that excitement of almost quitting, right? Like, oh, but I won't do it. I can't. I just can't. I'm a warrior. I got to go. Yeah. I got to keep going. And so
you're the definition of a victor. I mean, that what you just shared with me, right? And I've always known this, but for people that don't know Jamil, that is the definition of a victor, because he could have easily been the victim. And again, you probably had the option to keep Keegley going, keep everything. You'd make a bunch of money for the rest of your life, most likely, and you'd fade to black and you'd just be off, and everyone would have lost track of Jamil, and life would have been that for you. And you decided, no, I'm going to go continue to win, and I'm going to be a victor, not a victim of all this. And people have those decisions on such a micro level relative to what you just went through. What I think most aspiring entrepreneurs get hit in the face with is when they get the smallest of challenges, they quit, they give up. They're, oh, this isn't for me, I can't do it. The market, the interest rates, the this, the that. And I'll tell you, it is Jamil's story, my story for those that know it. It named the name. Anyone's story has a story. And they make a very clear decision in the mirror saying, I am not going down and staying down. I might go down. I'm not going to stay down. Right. And that is the difference between everybody. So again, dude, impressive that you are doing what you're already doing. Let's talk about taking a business into an area that is literally never been done before. There is another company that has franchised an investing model, but has not been strictly wholesaling.
Correct.
And I don't know whether they've done well or not. I'm aware of them. I think at one point they had a decent amount, but you basically took something that I don't believe in. I told you that. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work because there's not, there's not.
There wasn't there was no model to follow, right?
Yeah. And so I was blunt with you, and I was like, dude, I wish you all the luck in the world. I'm hopeful for you. I just go get them. But what does it look like to take essentially a vertical or what's the word? I'm blanking on the word, but taking a business that has never been somewhere and going and doing that. Like, what does that look like?
Well, it's cool that it hadn't been done, because then we got to trailblaze it, right? We got to create the path for it. And, it's difficult. Like, franchising a company is not child's play. It requires...
That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Like, you get what you're trying to do right now?
And I didn't. I had no idea what we were doing, right? So it was like, I'm like, yeah, we'll see, but then like you get in it.
Great.
Yeah, you get into it. You're like, this is what Justin was talking about. Okay. Right. All right, well, let's roll up our sleeves and get to it. So there's this whole thing called the FDD, right? That's the franchise disclosure document. And it's this like incredibly difficult document to create, because it's essentially everything that you do in your business, the goods, the bads, the hards, the awesome, all of it. It's all in there so that the people who are getting involved have full disclosure. That's why it's the franchise disclosure document. It's the FDD. It's the meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts, the economics, the profit margins, the areas of inefficiency, the areas of efficiencies, all the things are in there so that people can make an informed decision. And so, that needs to be created. And then in addition to that, you have to get approved and register this document in each state. And each state has different thresholds, different requirements, and things that you have to boxes that you have to check in order to be legally allowed to sell a franchise in that state. And, gratefully, we're approved in all states. And so, you can have a Keighley in California, New York. And I mean, those are two of the most difficult states to operate in or to get approved in. We're, named on Entrepreneur's, top franchises on their list. And that's been beautiful. But the process of it is so tedious, because they go in and they want to look at your financials, right? And they audit that, right? And so like, if anyone's ever been through an audit, it's painful, right? Because it's like, they're like, okay, yeah, because it's not like you're lying. Like, it's like, hey, we did, $1.2 million in this, this 1 month. Okay, cool. Great. Here's the bank statement. Here's the wires. That's not enough. What do you mean it's not enough? No. We need to see all of it. We like all of it, because you could have just wired yourself. It's like, really? I could have just wired myself. Okay. So it's like you go through all of it. You do
every single transaction. Credit,
yeah, man.
Like all of it. Yeah.
And they need to see it, and they want to look at the expenses, and it's like, why? And everything is everything's completely itemized, and the bean count. It's like a bean counter's wet dream. Right? Because it's just like, they're like, oh, details. right? So it's like, oh my God, okay. And for entrepreneurs, because typically as visionaries, details are not our strong suit, right? We're like, big vision, details, we'll leave that for the integrators, right? Like, let's get the nerds in here. Everybody call the nerds. We need details, right? So, you know, that's when you bring those folks in. And I'm so grateful for my business partners, Josiah and Hunter, because they're the king of nerds, right? These two dudes are the smartest guys in the room always. Yep. And I love them, right? They changed my life because they took this gritty guy, this dude with this, you know, kind of weird personality, and that's me, had this ability to have this vision and this, you know, great expansive idea to do this across the country. But then they helped me make that real. And I am not here today without Hunter. I'm not here without Josiah. I'm not here without Pace. And I'm not here without you. You know, like all of these relationships, man, every single one of them was a stepping stone, was an opportunity. And as every one of those opportunities became more rich, more full, and those relationships developed, you get to this like incredible result. And so that was tough, right? Franchising is hard, but then you got to do it every year. So they audit the financials every year.
Every year they do that?
It's just like, you know, and that's also really just a pain in the butt, right?
It's soul crushing. For people like you and me, that is soul crushing. That's just like, all right, you guys go do this. Like, I can't.
Right.
Like Josiah and Hunter, you say, go get it. I don't know. That's where you guys win.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things I'm going to point out here that you say. I've been on a massive mission to help people understand that my success, your success, Grant Cardone's success, name the name. I don't care. It is more related to the people along the journey. It is about how much money Jamil spent in marketing.
Big time.
How much, you know, money he put into this investment or whatever those things are. And you just sat there and gave praise to, you know, obviously your business partners, Josiah, I know very well.
And my
Hunter.
sister, sorry, I shouldn't have left her out. I mean, my sister's my like OG rock, right? Like her and I are so like the same that it's like I just automatically assume that, you know, she's just by my side through the whole thing, right? So of course my sister and then Josiah and Hunter, just without them, dude, I'm nothing.
But it's people. And literally, so I've been asked to speak, and I'm saying this a lot lately because I'm going to do a new speech I've never given, and I'm naming it Good to Great, and I'm saying the difference between good and great is people. It is how you treat people, first of all, but then how you create opportunities to be around the people, right? You mentioned Pace, a partner of yours, a friend of both of ours. He's like your brother, right? Like, he was in our market for the same amount of time that you and I were doing deals together. But, you know, I only met him about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, right? You may have met him a little bit earlier than that, but like, he comes into your life and you guys then do this incredible thing, change the shape of real estate investing, change the shape of coaching and mentoring and advising. Your company is the leader in our space. And it's because you and Pace did this together. You talk about Josiah, Hunter, you guys have changed the shape of marketing, salesmanship, and creating a company, a marketing branding company, a publishing company. You did it together. You referenced me. I thank you. Maybe it was because you were like, you motherfucker, Justin, you said I can't do this. I'm going to go do this, you asshole. Maybe there's my thanks.
It's just out of love, bro. Like, because you're legitimately like one of my first collaborators in town where we would JV deals together, you know, and it's just like, and even doing that was taboo for Wholesale because like back in the day, Wholesale was not collaborative. It was not, people were not being friendly to each other in the sandbox. Everybody was just pissing in each other's face, right? And that's where Wholesale started. That was the energy that the business came from, and it was disgusting. It was gross. And that's why Wholesale had such a bad rap for so long, because the people who were at the top, the leaders of the industry at that time, they were jerks. And they taught people how to be jerks. And because of that, people did jerky stuff out there. And then you get a bad reputation. And that was something that you and I had to clean up, right? But we cleaned it up by honesty, ethics, transparency, all of the things that was at some point, like one of the first wholesalers was like, I'm just going to go out there and lie my butt off and hopefully make some money. And then when I become successful, I'm going to teach everybody else how to lie. And then that will be the business. And so like, dude, okay, so that's where it started. And then you've got, you say to people like, hey, so what do you do in real estate? Wholesale. They're like, ugh. Like, oh, really? That's why you feel about it? Really? It's like, yeah, you guys are terrible. Like, what do you mean? Well, first, you never tell the truth. Everybody's lying. You don't have any money. I'm like, hold on a second. I've got lots of money and I always tell the truth. So what are we saying here? And because that's not what I'm talking about. They're like, well, we're talking about the people who do this. They lie about what they're doing. If they can't sell the contract, they cancel the deal. They're not checking their numbers, so they're putting opportunities under contract that don't make sense. Bro, there's wholesale mentors out there whose entire platform and teaching strategy is this: go lock up a deal, and then on the last day of a close of escrow, renegotiate. And like when the seller has already left the home,
right?
They're in a U-Haul. They're gone.
Yeah.
On that day, call them up and say, I'm not going to close unless you give me $70,000 off the sales price.
You and I both know this. That person, whether it's the coach or the person just doing it in general, who cares? Their burn is going to be fast. It might be hot, and they might go make a boatload of money in the right time, in the right economy, and whatever, and they might think, I don't give a shit. But I promise that will fizzle out fast, right? And you know that to be true. The only reason that I think you've done this now 20 years, I've done this 16 years, like we've been around and we've had stamina because we do the right things.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about whether we do the most deals, make the money. Who cares? We do the right things when the time's happening, and that's why we're able to navigate economies, navigate interest rates going up, interest rates going down, hedge funds coming into Phoenix, hedge funds leaving Phoenix. We can navigate it because we always continue to do the right things.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the people, and we treat people with intention to make sure things are fair. I remember the days where almost every day I would get the same text from you. Justin, you got any deals? Justin, you got any deals? Justin, I mean, literally every day.
I know.
Right? And you always made sure it was fair. And you and I would be like, hey, dude, I got this deal. There's only $3,000 in it. You're like, bro, kick me $500 if I get it sold for you. I don't care. Let's go do another one. I mean, you'd literally say that. Like, you didn't need 50-50. You'd be like, give me $500 if I can keep it moving.
That's
my
it.
buyers are hungry.
That's it.
That's it. And I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, great. Bring me a buyer, right? I say that because doing the right thing over and over again with people leads to the top of the mountain, because people will literally lift you. You don't even have to ask.
Yeah.
And they will give you their shoulder to stand on because you treated them right. You gave them the right fair shake, right? Not just trying to take. You essentially would give them opportunity. And for that, they could win. And it's just about doing the right thing at the right time all the time.
That's it. And here's the other piece to it, right? And then somebody's listening to this right now and be like, well, I'm already off the table because I've done shitty things. Well, so to that person that's listening to this right now, right? No, you're not. Because like at the end of the day, just because you've made mistakes also, to every moment is pregnant with the possibility of change. And you have that in you. That don't ever forget that the Spirit of God is in you. Even if you've done some terrible things, you can redeem yourself. You can be better. You can be at the top of the mountain and have the most glorious redemption story ever. And that needs to be told too. People need to hear the story of the criminal who becomes the king, because that also is important, and that path exists, and those situations are real. And we as human beings, we bump our heads against the wall. We make errors, and it's our job to evolve and grow from it, instead of looking at ourselves and saying, well, I'm disqualified because of my past. You're not your past. And you can always make a decision to do something differently. And I'm learning that, right? Even as I go in the world of fatherhood and in the world of husbandry, and looking at how things transpired, and where I could have done better, where I could have paid more attention. It's funny. I have a daughter who's growing up in Canada, and she said something to me that was really painful last year that has affected my life, right? Because her mother, incredible woman, the mother of my kid, is just like, she's phenomenal. She's a fantastic woman. And, we've had an incredible co-parenting relationship. And she's graciously allowed me to have charisma often throughout the year, right? So I get her, in the holidays and in winter, like right after Christmas, she would come with me for a week and we'd spend New Year's together. She'd come to me during her spring break, during her birthday. I'd get her for a month and a half during the summer. And then, other times throughout the year, like I'd always have opportunities to see her. And so it'd be like 4 or 5 times a year that we would hang out. And because I don't live with her full time, a lot of guys or maybe dads who are listening to this will be able to relate. But I was like, I had to be fun dad, right? I had to be like, oh, we're going to go here. We're going to go here. We're going to go do this. I'm going to buy you that. I'm going to, it's always just like adventure, fun, gifts, so much goodness, right?
Yeah.
And so, the TV show was going and all the things were going, and my daughter is watching me on social media, and I was kind of gloating a little bit with her, right? And I'm like, so, what do you think of your dad? Do you think your dad's a cool guy? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay. Why you say it like that, right? And she's like, well, Dad, I noticed that you travel around, the country. You're in a new city every other day, and I always wonder if my dad can visit every city in the United States, but he doesn't find himself here once a month.
That gave me chills.
Yeah, dude. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I'm like tearing up right now just thinking about it, because it hurt. And so I made a decision that day that I was going to I rent a place where she lives down the road from her mom's house, and I go every month for a week, and I just take her to school, pick her up from school, do homework, and do boring dad stuff, like just real dad stuff, right? And it's so rewarding, man. It's like I'm just so blessed that she had the heart to be honest with me. I'm so happy that she had the courage to say that, because if she hadn't, then just imagine if she just let it go and didn't want to make me feel bad, and then would have resented me, and then would have as she got older, and then right, and then the relationship is surface level, and she's just in her head thinking, Dad just tried to buy my love, or Dad just tried to do this or that, and like he wasn't really there. And that possibility I was so close, because it was the path I was on, right? It was how I was doing it. And, now it's different, right? So it's so cool. And now I've got like this really like cool thing with her. And like we FaceTime all the time, and we just like, that's my like best friend, like I love that.
Love that, dude. Well, because it's never over. Meaning, to your point, you said something, I've never heard this before. I don't know if you just made it up on the spot, but every moment is pregnant with the possibility of changing. And I don't know where you got that, but that is it's pure gold.
It's real.
I mean, but you have that moment right now with your daughter, and the fact that the emotion was so raw with you right now, like I felt it. Like I could have for sure started, like I have a little daughter, 3 years old right now, that just woke up from her. I can hear her. Right. And so, dude, I empathize with you and feel your love for your daughter. And I just appreciate the fact that you recognized it. Right. And maybe all of this personal shit that landed on you this last year was for one purpose, for you to wake up, for you to get your shit together with her. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know if that's right, but you could potentially make an argument that there's that reason, so you can get more connected to her, because she's your child that, is going to have the opportunity to change the world in the same way you have, dude.
Even if she doesn't, we're going to be able to, hang out and do it together, right? Whatever it is. Like, I mean, I'm so happy that little girl loves me the way she does, so that she would be honest with me. I wasn't honest with my parents growing up. I lived a double life essentially, right? Like I was one kid at home, and then I was another kid out in the world. And I never wanted to rock the boat. I was always just trying to make my dad and mom proud. And, you know, Indian parents, it's like they're tough to please anyways. And so like, it's just this whole, you know, this dance you're in all the time of like, you know, of achievement and acceptance. And you're just like begging for it. And that was that was the model I had. That was the model I was given, you know, and so I could have done that. I could have decided to have just done what my dad did to me and made my child kind of earn my love, which was like hard, you know, but now I'm like dealing with it in therapy, right? I don't want her to have to deal with that in therapy, you know? So it's just like, it's such a beautiful thing, man. Like shining a light on your blind spots is
you bring up therapy, and I would tell you, first of all, every human being, in my opinion, should start going through therapy in their early adulthood, in their 20s, you know, maybe after college, whatever that, like, because there's just so much. I think all people have a quarter life crisis along with a midlife crisis. Everyone's aware of the midlife crisis. I actually think people have quarter life crisis. I know I went through some, or through one pretty heavily. I know a lot of my members that are younger, I watch them kind of go through this thing. I'm sure you could say the same about your members. You yourself probably have, but I think therapy is the only way to rectify all the other things, whether it's how you were raised, to what society puts on us these days, to, you know, the fakeness of social media versus reality. So dude, I'm always I think every marriage, every couple who's married should be going to therapy.
For sure.
I think every entrepreneur should be going to therapy. And it could be different. You might need 3 different therapists. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, like different subject matters, different things, different issues. Think about all the things that you went through to get to where you're at in business. How many times would you wish you could be laying on a couch talking to a therapist about all the different things and how to overcome them? Same thing personally, same thing with your marriage. So, good for you on that too. But I think, again, to kind of wrap this whole thing in a bow, like, understand, doesn't matter who you think about. They could be on the top of the mountain in business in your eyes. They got shit going on behind their doors that you don't know.
Yep.
And so what I would tell you, just because I have plenty of my own shit going on, like, it's not always puppy dogs and rainbows just because you make a whole lot of money. Money can absolutely fix problems faster and pay for medical bills and all this. Like, absolutely, I would rather be rich than poor. 100% no-brainer. But just recognize, people, when you see shit on social media, it doesn't matter.
No,
like the car
and to that point, Justin, it's like, so like money just amplifies what you are, right? So if you're kind of a jackass, well, money's just going to bring out more of a jackass, you know, because it's like, it gives you more time, it gives you more access, it gives you, you know, so many just variables that amplify the fire that you are, right? And so like it's not going to solve anything. And I almost want everybody to have all their dreams come true so they can realize it ain't it. It ain't it.
It ain't it.
And so
dude, you're dead on. It ain't it.
You know, and then the work begins.
That's right. It's almost like you want everyone, go make all the money as much as you can. All the dream, I want you to become 100 million. Go do it.
Yeah.
Because then watch what happens. Same thing that happens to the lotto winners. Same thing that happens to athletes. It's gone. And it's because it's not about the actual money. It's about what's happening internally, what's happening in between your ears. It's all of that. Bro, this has been a hell of an episode. I could not be happier about how this went, brother. I appreciate you. I love you to death. I'm always here for you. I want you to know that.
Thank you. Likewise.
Whatever you need. And thank you for joining us on Entrepreneur DNA.
Thanks for
having me. Make sure you
me,
follow Jamil Damji on all the platforms. TV star, best-selling author, a incredible friend, incredible business owner, Jamil Damji. Thank you again, brother.
Thank you.
Peace.